On a stretch of the A5 Autobahn near Karlsruhe, Germany, a crew tore out an aging concrete road, rebuilt the subbase, and laid 7,500 cubic meters of fresh concrete. The whole concrete pour took just over 2.5 days. 2.5 days. Crews ran slip-form pavers across a 2.3-kilometer section, while the lanes stayed sealed off, and when the cones came up, the road was new again. Now hold that picture next to the new bridge going up over the Ohio River, between Cincinnati and Covington. The Brent Spence Corridor project broke ground in 2025. The official timeline says 8 years. The new bridge is not expected to carry traffic until 2032. 8 years of lane closures, detours, and orange barrels for one river crossing at a cost of around $3.6 billion. That gap is not an accident. It is not bad luck. It is a choice baked into how each side of the Atlantic buys, runs, and repairs the machines that build a country. And the company that wrote the rule book for the slower American way is the one with its name on half the yellow iron in this hemisphere. Caterpillar. Here is the part Americans do not like to hear. We tell ourselves a story. The story says American infrastructure muscle is the best on earth, that we invented the interstate, that we move more dirt and pour more concrete than anyone alive. There is real history behind that pride. The American highway system was the largest public works project the world had ever seen. The machines that built it became legends. For 2 generations, if you wanted to move a mountain, you bought American iron and you got it done. But pride is not a schedule. Pride does not resurface a motorway over a single weekend. And somewhere in the last few decades, the country that bragged about building fast became the country that cannot finish anything. We watch a single bridge take a decade. We watch a rail line eat 20 years and $100 billion and still not carry a passenger. Meanwhile, a German crew rebuilds a stretch of Autobahn before the weekend traffic returns on Monday. So what does Europe know that we forgot? Start with the machines, because this is where the story really lives. In Germany, there is a company most Americans have never heard of. The Wirtgen Group, spelled W-I-R-T-G-E-N, pronounced Wirtgen. It owns a family of brands that together build roads as one continuous system. Wirtgen makes the cold milling machines that grind off the old surface. Vogele, spelled V-O-G-E-L-E, makes the asphalt pavers that lay the new mat. Hamm makes the rollers that compact it. All 3 are German, and they are designed to work nose to tail as a single moving train. Think about what that means on a job site. The miller eats the old road. Right behind it, the paver lays the new one. Right behind that, the rollers seal it down. The road gets reborn in one pass, in one motion, while traffic waits on the other side of the barrier. The Europeans call it a paving train, and the word train is exact. It is a line of purpose-built machines, each doing one job perfectly, moving forward together at a steady pace. Compare that to the typical American site. One excavator that also loads, also lifts, also does whatever the foreman points at. A single machine asked to be everything, which means it is great at nothing and idle half the day waiting for the next task. The European model says, buy the right tool for each step and keep all of them moving. The American model says, buy one big machine and make it earn its keep. One of those approaches finishes the road by Monday. Watch how far the Europeans push this idea. Vogele builds a paving method called inline pave, where 2 pavers run almost back to back. One lays the lower binder course, the second lays the surface course right on top of it while the first is still warm. 2 layers of asphalt go down in what is essentially one continuous operation, so the road bonds together better, and the crew makes one trip down the lane instead of 2. That is the obsession at the heart of the European method. Cut the number of passes. Cut the number of separate jobs. Cut the hours the road sits open and unfinished. Every design decision points at the same target, which is getting the public back onto a finished road faster. That, a 5 Autobahn job near Karlsruhe, shows the whole orchestra playing together. A Wirtgen stabilizer built a 30-centimeter stabilized subbase. Hamm compactors sealed it down. 2 Wirtgen slip-form pavers laid the concrete, one running a width of 15 meters in a single pass. A Vogele paver handled the asphalt section. Each machine had one job. All of them moved as a unit, and the concrete pour finished in just over 2.5 days. That is not a miracle of German genius. It is a system of matched machines doing matched jobs without waiting on each other. It gets sharper. Wirtgen builds a cold recycler called the W380CRI. CRI, spelled out, just means Cold Recycler Intelligent. This machine does something that sounds like science fiction to an American road crew. It grinds up the old broken road, mixes in cement or foamed bitumen right inside the machine, and lays it back down as a fresh, stabilized base, all in a single pass. It can go a full 30 centimeters deep. On one project, it moved around 3,000 tons of material an hour. The old road becomes the new road, without a single truck hauling material to a landfill. No waiting on deliveries. No staging yard full of aggregate. The road rebuilds itself as the machine rolls forward. That is the European method in one machine. Maximize the work done per pass. Maximize the hours the machine actually runs. Treat the road as a system to be processed, not a series of separate jobs handed off between crews who never see each other. If you want to watch Caterpillar keep losing ground, subscribe to Quisoup. If you are watching on your TV, find Quisoup and hit subscribe there. Now, the Europeans do not stop at the milling and paving. They build pieces of the road and the bridge somewhere else entirely, then carry the finished piece to the site and drop it in. Near the town of Wern, Germany, engineers replaced 2 old road bridges using a modular system. Big sections of the structure were built in a factory off-site, then moved into place. On-site, construction time dropped by as much as 70%. The work that would have taken about 12 months on the road instead took around 16 weeks. The factory builds the bridge in clean, controlled conditions, while traffic still rolls underneath the old one. Then one weekend the old span comes out and the new span goes in. This is the deeper pattern. Europe treats time on the road as the most expensive thing in the project. Every hour a lane is closed is an hour the public is paying in lost time, fuel, and frustration. So the entire system is built to compress the hours spent actually blocking the road. Prefabricate everything possible. Run a paving train that never stops. Use a recycler that skips the supply chain. Close the road for 1 weekend, not 1 year. So where does Caterpillar come into all of this? Be fair here, because the honest version of this story is stronger than the cheap one. Caterpillar did not personally pour the German Autobahn. CAT is not the reason a Vogele paver is fast. CAT is the emblem of the other model, the slower model, the one that treats a machine as a revenue stream long after you have bought it. Here is what that model looks like in practice. You buy a CAT machine. Eventually, a sensor fails or a part wears out. On a modern CAT, the machine is full of electronics, and many repairs cannot be finished without a dealer entering an authorization code into the onboard computer. You can bolt in the right part yourself, and the machine will still refuse to recognize it until the dealer blesses it with software. So you call the dealer. You wait for the technician. You wait for the part. And while you wait, the machine sits dead in the yard. That waiting has a price. When a critical machine goes down on a job site, the delay can cost a contractor somewhere between $2,000 and $10,000 a day in idle crews, missed milestones, and penalties from the people above them. And unplanned downtime, in the range of 20 to 30%, is not unusual in this industry. Sit with that. Up to a third of the time, on a normal site, the iron is not working. It is waiting. Waiting for a part. Waiting for a code. Waiting for a dealer who has every reason to take his time because the parts and service business is where the real money lives. That is the friction, not the engine, not the steel. The business model wrapped around the machine. Caterpillar and its peers fought hard against right-to-repair laws, the laws that would let you fix your own equipment with the same manuals and software the dealer gets. They fought because the lockout is not a bug. It is the product. The repair business, the parts business, the dealer dependency, that is, the profit center, and an independent owner who can fix his own machine in an afternoon, is a customer who stops paying. Think about how that mindset poisons speed on a national scale. A European paving train is sold to keep running, because a contractor who finishes fast comes back and buys the next machine. An American fleet locked behind dealer software is sold to keep returning to the dealer, because the dealer makes more money on the 10th repair than on the first sale. Multiply that across thousands of job sites and tens of thousands of machines, and you get a country where the equipment spends a stunning share of its life parked, waiting on a code, waiting on a part, waiting on a technician who is booked 3 weeks out. A road crew cannot pave a road with a machine that is sitting in a service bay. And the slower that crew works, the longer the lane stays closed, and the longer the country waits. Now connect the two halves. A European paving train is engineered to maximize uptime and finish the road fast. An American fleet built around dealer lockouts and parts waits is engineered to maximize the time you spend, depending on the dealer. One system respects the clock on the job. The other system respects the clock on the service invoice. Of course, the first one builds faster. It was designed to... Quick break before we get into what happened next. If you have been on this channel for a while, watching how CAT lost its way, there is a way to make sure you do not miss what is coming. Join the operator tier for $4.99 a month. You get badges that mark you as a working professional in the comments section, custom emoji to call out the corporate decisions that killed CAT, and you get every video 24 hours before the rest of the internet. To join, open your phone and search QuiSoup membership, or go to the channel page and tap join. Join the operators and engineers who are paying attention. Now back to it. Now, look at the proof, because the timelines do not lie. Take the California High-Speed Rail project. In 2008, California voters approved a bond and were promised a modern bullet train for a projected cost of around $33 billion. By 2024, the forecast had climbed past $100 billion. The latest figure sits around $126 billion. The first usable segment between Merced and Bakersfield may not open until 2033. Full Phase 1 is now pushed toward 2040. And in July of 2025, the federal government pulled about $4 billion in funding, citing systemic failures in management and schedule. 2008 to 2040. 32 years, if it ever finishes, for a rail line that France or Spain would have running in a fraction of the time. The cost to build a mile of urban transit in America runs roughly 3 times what it costs in peer countries. Italy and France can dig a subway for about half the per-mile cost we pay, and they do it faster. The average federal environmental review in America takes more than 4 years before a shovel touches the dirt. 4 years of paperwork before the first machine even fires up. So you have the contrast in hard numbers. A German Autobahn rebuilt in 2.5 days of paving. A modular German bridge finished in 16 weeks instead of 12 months. Against an American bridge on an 8-year clock, and an American rail line on a 30-year clock that already burned through $100 billion. But here is where this channel will be honest with you, because the cheap version of this story is a lie, and you deserve the real one. The machines are not the whole reason Europe builds faster. They are part of it. A real part, but not all of it. The biggest reason is not yellow iron at all. It is paperwork and politics. America buries every project under environmental review, lawsuits, and what the researchers politely call citizen voice, meaning anyone with a lawyer can stall a project for years. Europe streamlines permitting and procurement in ways that would make an American contractor weep with envy. Labor practices differ. Funding is steadier and less likely to vanish when a new administration arrives. And America is simply bigger and emptier, with distances that make some comparisons unfair. A weekend rail renewal in dense Germany is not the same problem as rebuilding a line across 1,000 miles of American desert. And there is one more piece of honesty this story demands. Europe is not magic. Germany has its own crumbling bridge crisis right now. The Ramade Bridge on the A45 had to be shut down, then blown up in 2023, and its replacement will not be finished until around 2027 at a cost of more than 500 million euros. In the summer of 2025, German Autobahn concrete actually cracked apart in a heat wave. So no, Europe has not solved everything. And the Wirtgen Group, the German hero of this whole story, the company that makes the paving train, it is not even European-owned anymore. The American company, Deere & Company, bought Wirtgen back in 2017 for around $5.2 billion. So the best road-building machines on Earth are German-engineered and now American-owned. The irony writes itself. Tell me this honestly. If the fastest road-building equipment in the world is German design under an American flag, then the machines were never really the problem. The problem is the model we wrap around them. So here is the question for the comments section. Is America slow because of Caterpillar and the dealer lockout culture it made standard? Or is CAT just a convenient villain for a problem that is really about lawyers, permits, and a country that forgot how to say go? Tell me in the comments. Step back, and the pattern is clear. Strip away the flags and the brand loyalty, and what you find underneath is a simple law. The system that respects uptime wins. The European road train wins because every machine in it is built to keep moving and finish the job. The recycler wins because it refuses to wait on a supply chain. The modular bridge wins because it does the slow work off-site and saves the road for one fast weekend. They all worship the same God, and that God is the working hour. The American model bows to a different God. It worships the service contract, the dealer relationship, the part you cannot install without permission. It treats the machine as a subscription you keep paying for long after you drove it off the lot. And a country that runs on that model will always finish second to a country that runs on the clock. Caterpillar did not invent slow bridges, but Caterpillar perfected the business of making owners wait, and the whole American equipment world followed. When you make waiting profitable, you should not be shocked when the country that buys your machines becomes the country that cannot finish on time. One more thing before you go. If you really want to be part of the inner circle on this channel, join the site foreman for $9.99 a month. You get a public shout-out in upcoming videos. Your name, your operation, your story, validated in front of the entire QuiSoup audience. Plus everything from the operator tier. To join, open your phone and search QuiSoup membership, or go to the channel page and tap join. A machine that cannot work without permission was never really yours. It was theirs the whole Autobahn, and they just let you borrow it between repair bills. See you in the next one.